Today, we're cutting through literally centuries of noise to uncover the true, verified history of the Rothschilds. We're going to see how history's most influential banking dynasty actually built their massive empire right from the ground up.
It's a pretty fascinating question, isn't it? I mean, when you think of the Rothschilds today, you probably immediately think of immense wealth, high finance, and global influence. But here's the thing, they definitely didn't start at the top. We're talking about a family starting out in the cramped, heavily restricted Jewish alley of an 18th century German city. Bridging that massive gap between those extremely modest early days and their eventual status as European titans, well, that is exactly what makes their journey so incredibly compelling.
To understand this massive leap, here's our agenda for today. 1. Origins of the Red Shield. 2. Five brothers conquer Europe. 3. Navigating wars and wealth. 4. Debunking the Rothschild myths. And finally, 5. The legacy continues today. All right, let's jump right into Section 1. Origins of the Red Shield. A humble beginning. This whole incredible story starts with the family patriarch, Meyer Amschel Rothschild, working tirelessly as a coin dealer and money exchanger. Now, you might be wondering about the name. Rothschild actually translates to Red Shield. You see, back then, before standard street addresses even existed, a literal red shield was the marker on their front door in Frankfurt. It simply identified their family home and business, long before it became synonymous with global wealth. Kinda cool, right? So, 1744. That's the year Meyer Amschel Rothschild was born. And as he grew and developed his business, his true genius wasn't just in the numbers. It was actually in relationships. He built this crucial trust by providing rare coins to Prince Wilhelm of Hesse at deeply discounted rates just to win his favor. And wow, did this calculated patience pay off. He eventually gained the right to manage the prince's massive fortune. Think about that. One man's vision, starting way back in 1744, was laying the foundational groundwork to completely change European finance forever. Which brings us to Section 2. Five brothers conquer Europe, an international network. Realizing local success could only take him so far, Meyer made a seriously brilliant strategic move, training all 5 of his sons to work as one unified front in the banking business. Instead of keeping everyone clustered in Frankfurt, Meyer systematically deployed his sons to 5 major European hubs. It's almost like a giant puzzle coming together. Amschel managed Frankfurt, Nathan went to London, Salomon to Vienna, Karl down to Naples, and James to Paris. By placing a trusted, perfectly aligned son in each of these major financial capitals, they essentially built a tightly knit, entirely in-house international banking network. And here's where things get really interesting. Because they were spread across the continent but bound by this strict family unity, they developed an incredible competitive edge, much faster communication than their rivals. We're talking about their own private network of couriers, fast ships, and, get this, even carrier pigeons. As Europe headed into the highly volatile Napoleonic era, this rapid information exchange let them anticipate market movements and political shifts days before anyone else in the financial sector. It was an absolute game changer. Moving on to Section 3. Navigating wars and wealth, financing governments. So, they took this unified network and information advantage and transformed it into staggering wealth by actively financing entire nations through complex loans and bonds. Just look at this timeline. We can really see the immense historical hurdles they didn't just survive, but actively adapted to. In the 1800s, right in the middle of the Napoleonic Wars, they stepped up to finance governments. Then, they navigated the widespread chaos of the 1848 European revolutions. They weathered the devastating global impacts of the world wars from 1914 all the way to 1945. They even adapted when their French bank was nationalized in the 1980s. Across centuries, different branches of the family continuously evolved their private banking strategies, constantly transforming to meet exactly what the era demanded of them. But here's the kicker. They didn't just stick to banking. They strategically diversified, heavily investing in the actual physical future of Europe. We're talking financing railways, mining operations, and critical infrastructure, while also pouring resources into massive estates, incredible art collections, and widespread philanthropy. By literally helping to build the industrial infrastructure of 19th century Europe, they cemented themselves as an indispensable, highly trusted pillar of the continent's economic engine. Now for Section 4. Debunking the Rothschild myths, separating fact and fiction. Because of their immense wealth and deep government ties over the centuries, the family inevitably became the subject of countless conspiracy theories, and we really need to impartially address these narratives, relying strictly on what documented sources actually tell us.
When we separate the popular fiction from verified reality, the contrast is honestly pretty stark. The sensational claims that the family secretly controls world governments and the entire global economy, well, those have absolutely no credible backing. Verified historical records show us that these exaggerated stories were largely fueled by historical anti-Semitic myths that just spread and mutated over time. As focused learners, it's absolutely crucial for us to separate fact from fiction and rely solely on documented historical evidence. And that evidence confirms a history of highly successful private banking, for sure, but not global control.
All right, bringing it up to the present with Section 5. The legacy continues today, modern services. Moving confidently past the myths, it's clear that wealth alone wasn't their ultimate legacy. Today, modern Rothschild businesses absolutely still thrive in investment banking and high-level advisory, but their identity is equally rooted in extensive philanthropy, culture, education, and vital environmental initiatives.
So, what does this all mean for us? Well, distilling centuries of unprecedented success down to actionable business lessons gives us these 4 highly effective steps. 1. Build trust. Just like Mayer Amschel did way back in 1744, relationships and reliability have to be your foundation. 2. Think long-term. You've got to plan for generations, not just fiscal quarters. 3. Expand strategically. Place your resources where they have the absolute maximum network effect, just as they did across Europe's capitals. And finally, 4. Value reputation. A strong, unified family and business reputation is exactly what allowed them to weather revolutions, wars, and literally centuries of relentless economic change.
Which brings us to a final, really powerful thought. The greatest legacy isn't just wealth. It's the ability to adapt across generations. The Rothschilds didn't just accumulate money. They entirely reinvented themselves through wars, massive industrial revolutions, and modern financial crises. So it really makes you ask yourself, are you just building for today? Or are you building the adaptability to thrive for generations to come? Thank you so much for joining this explainer. Keep learning, stay focused on the facts, and I'll